been requested. You gave me a shout out, and we are officially here. My name is Andre Norman, and this is a Securus original, day one. As you know, we're going to talk about over this whole episode how coming into the penitentiary and coming into the county jail and coming into corrections, period, is not only traumatic, but it's something that you can survive and you will survive. So we want to help you really process and dig down and look back for some of you what that day one looked like. Myself, I spent 14 years in the penitentiary, and I went through an array of stuff. I went through every emotion, every concept, everything you can think of, I experienced. And I made it home. And I've been home for 22 years. And for these 22 years I've been home, I've been reaching back. And I've been helping my brothers and sisters find their way as well. And when they come up with this new technology, it's crazy. I mean, they got tablets in prison now. This is like phenomenal. So shout out to JPay, shout out to Securus for even having this. And we just want to come to you and just have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's been requested, and we are on deck, and we're going to have a conversation that's going to help you find your way through this madness into a better space in life. And the madness is generally in our minds. You know what I'm saying? It's not the building. The building was there before we got there. You know what I'm saying? The madness came with us. So today we have a guest, a good friend of mine, and he's become a good friend. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Hey, Andre, how you doing?
All right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I will introduce myself. Brent Burke. I run a correctional facility in Lima, Ohio. So Andre and I go back about the last 5 years.
You didn't tell me you was a Cincinnati fan.
Huge Cincinnati fan. So, Who Dey?
What does Who Dey mean?
It's a chant that got started the first Super Bowl when we got beat by, of course, the Niners. But Who Dey? It's a chant.
Oh, that's the Bengals.
It's a chant. Who Dey?
Is that the Bengals or the Reds?
No, that's the Bengals.
That's the Bengals. You made it to the Super Bowl last year. I'm sorry.
The Super Bowl.
You made it. You look good.
We looked really good.
You look really good. But you know something?
Go ahead. What?
Day one for y'all, it's just not happening yet. So you know I'm from New England.
Day one is we got a new offensive line.
New England's in the house. New England is in the house. We up 6.
Huh?
We're up 6.
You're upset? Yeah, you are.
We're up 6.
Yeah, you're definitely up 6.
So even though I know you run a facility,
right,
and oftentimes we have people come in who've done time like myself, and it's that perspective. I thought it was important to have somebody come in who actually runs the facility. You're not just a manager or a case manager or unit manager. You actually run the facility. You're the site director. You control everything and you see everything.
Yes.
So tell me about yourself.
From who we accept into the building in the facility to who we terminate from the facility and who successfully completes it.
But this is what I want them to know. Who are you?
Right.
Saying? Who's Brent? Because we can talk about Brent, the guy who runs the center, but who is Brent? Because we didn't know. Well, I didn't know any of the staff had lives beyond trying to, you know what I'm saying, give me a hard time.
Right. So my journey started probably 27 years ago. Graduated college, wanted to make a difference. Started doing my internship and probation. Liked it. I liked the connection. But I started working in a detention center in the correctional environment, and I loved it. I'm one of those rare, odd people, I think, that actually love the detention center, love the doors popping behind you. And
because you weren't locked in.
Exactly.
It's easy to love when you're not locked in.
Exactly. I wasn't locked in. And I don't know, kind of matured, maturated up to what I do now as far as being the director. And
so explain.
A lot of moving parts with that process. A lot of moving parts.
So you came in, went to college, intern and probation, then just stayed in the business.
Stayed in the business. Yep. Plenty of opportunities, I think, to leave it, but at the end of the day, my heart is always with making a difference in the lives, whether it was in probation, in detention, and now in treatment for sure.
So tell us about the type of treatment center that you run.
So we run a 4 to 6 month treatment facility. Houses 100 felony offenders, mostly addicts. And like I said, it goes either from 4 to 6 months. And every day they wake up, they're up right now, and it's like school in there. We do treatment classes all day long, all afternoon long, up and into the evening. And like you said, you bring up the new, man, technology is so great with corrections. When you bring up tablets and video visits and everything that Securus and JPay offers these guys, it's amazing. It's great. Podcasts like this, didn't exist 5-10 years ago. So
Definitely.
so e-messaging, all these opportunities that these guys and gals have,
They can stay connected to their family.
they can stay connected to their families. And like I said, I got in this to make a difference, and it truly does make a difference. And the worst thing in corrections is idle time, and I'm sure you can relate to that. Anything that's not keeping their mind and their body active and busy, it can be a mess. It can be a mess. So anything that we can do to keep them busy, changing their thoughts. We have Thinking for a Change class. Why did you start? I know you're big on saying where did your pain start, but mine is what are you so angry about? Where did this start? And where did the criminal? It started with that pain first. It started with that anger first, and it led to the crime.
Yeah, well,
the criminal thinking.
There's why they're there, then it's how you don't go back there. So
Exactly.
when people come to your facility, the court sends them, they pull up, they're in handcuffs, they come inside like any other locked facility, and you've seen, how long you been running this center?
8.5 years.
8.5 years times 365. You've seen a lot of people's day one.
I've seen a lot of people's day one. Correct.
So what is it? What do you see generally when people come in the door day one for the first time?
It varies. It varies. You're going to see people surprised, that surprised look on their face because they've never really been locked up. Like, this is their last shot because I'm an alternative to prison. So,
No, I know you're an alternative prison, but I've been in your center. You pull up in handcuffs, you come in, it's a locked facility. You just can't walk off the grounds.
no, you cannot walk off the grounds. You're going to have, you're going to have to bear down. You're going to have to sit in there the first 60, 90 days and follow the program and the steps.
But what is the day, when you see people come in, what does day one look like? From you sitting there watching them, you've seen it over and over and over again. What have you been noticing? What are the patterns that you notice?
I think you see some. You see some fear. Some you see cocky. Some you see arrogant. Some you see this isn't going to make a difference. This isn't going to change me. And those are the ones you sit back and reflect upon 6 months later. Like, you remember day one? Coming in here cocky, running your mouth. Didn't want to be here. Just thought you could fake it to make it, And about 2 months went by, 3 months went by, and they started following the process and started to get it. They started to understand that, I really do have problems. This really does make a difference.
So the ones that come in cocky, arrogant, scared, nervous, talkative, introverted.
Right.
What have you seen that's like consistent though? I mean, you've seen them when they come in day one, able to put up their front. Whether it's your front being loud or your front's being quiet. What have you seen as a common theme in the individuals versus their attitudes or personalities?
I think it's the ones that can adapt and use their resources to the best of their abilities and actually bear down and start understanding what our program is and what's going to help them through the process, and some person making a difference, whether it be someone in our GED program, which is really successful, whether it be a case manager who's carries a caseload of 10 to 15 residents, or whether it's the director coming in.
So what have you seen? You say use their experiences and their resources. What if, dude's an addict or sister's an addict. They're coming in, they're really coming off detox a little bit.
Right.
So what are you talking about as far as use their resources? They're here because they haven't used their resources, most likely. And I haven't learned to access the people in my life who love me. So how do I access my resources here? What are you teaching me in that space?
Again, I think a lot of it comes back to what your anger, what your pain is. How do we connect to what your issue, what your addiction is?
You've seen people graduate. They
seen
come
people
through the whole
graduate,
6
correct.
months, and they come in whatever state of mind, and it wasn't pro-social, say, but at the end of the 6 months, they're killing it. They're like crushing it, and they're ready to go. What have you seen the most in these folks? What are the traits that they exhibited to go from point A to point Z in a good way?
Like you say, sometimes they're detoxing for the first time. So from that first stage until 2 or 3 months in, it's I think routine. I think it's structure. I think it's I'm going to go back to using the resources of Having a leader, what's it like to have a leader in their life? What's it like to have someone who's positive in their life? What's it like to have these types of things every day, creating a positive structure in their life?
Okay. I'm not throwing shade on any one facility, but I can say every facility I've ever been in, there's been some form of contraband. Whether it's
true.
homemade wine, is somehow stuff flies in over the wall, whatever. There's always been some form of contraband in every prison I've ever been in. I mean, if you can't get them from the outside, they start hitting the kitchen. There's something somewhere. I mean, I know dudes who, it's just, I don't want to make no suggestions. I've seen people who are addicted go hard. You know what I'm saying? They just, they have to get high. They have to be sedated, self-medicated. So you have people in the facility, whether it's your facility or others. What do you say to them? Because they're going to encounter contraband. I mean, you're going to encounter contraband, and their pitfall in life is addiction. So what do you say to the person that's going to encounter contraband? How do they get past it?
Where's it ever gotten you? You know, where's getting high, getting and using has ever gotten you on your best day? We're right here. We're talking. We're having this conversation. So
and I'm going to tell you, the best day of getting high has got me away from my pain. The best day of getting high has got me away from my trauma. Remembrance of the things that I saw and went through as a kid. That's what getting high does for me. And that's why I got high before, and it's probably why I'm going to get high now. So why should I not get high if I still have this pain?
Because we care about you. I mean, myself and my staff care about you, and let me show you how. Let me show you how we care about you and how we want to make a difference in your life.
I need you to explain it to folks. This is what they don't know. You know why we're sitting here? People don't even know. This is like the well-kept secret. We are sitting here because of you. This whole series, the last series, second act, shout out to the team, is all because of you. When you met me at the conference and you brought me back to your facility and you introduced me around, then you was like, hey, Dre, I got these new things called tablets. Then we went back to the conference and you introduced me to Securus.
True.
I met their staff and I started teaming up with their staff, and here we are a few years later. We are on our second podcast series. You know you started this. I just want to give you a shout out for those who don't know.
No worries.
You're the one that discovered me and brought me to the platform. So talk to me about the tablets. How has that changed when somebody comes in, you can hand them a tablet day one versus hand them just the handbook?
Right. I think one thing about me as director, it makes me a little bit different. I don't want to say it separates me from anyone because I don't know. But I like to be creative. I like new ideas. And when this came to me, I'm like, man, what better way for these folks to connect than having access through, it's not texting, but it's almost texting with the e-messaging. It's not actually seeing someone, but I'll tell you what, especially during COVID, how we all had to regroup through that period. I mean, we really didn't miss a beat. It wasn't direct contact, but it was still video visits. It was still access to their families and their people and their loved ones. And then things like this, I mean, this could make a huge difference in someone who's wanting to make a stupid decision right now. Just by listening to this podcast, by listening to you, by listening to an array of groups of individuals who have been through this and have had these similar experiences. So love it. I love the technology. I want to keep expanding with it any way I can.
So family connection is huge. So how have you seen family connections, those who've connected to their families and those who haven't? What is the differences you've seen in the residents in your place?
Yeah, you're going to have a better effect on those individuals in there the more that they can have access to their families. And the ones that don't tend to have some more difficult times being in the facility. So
the treatment that you offer, because I went to jail, me and my mom were cool, but we didn't have the best relationship, a healthy one, I would say. Me and my dad were not cool, and it definitely wasn't a healthy relationship. Brothers and sisters all estranged because I came up in a get-it-yourself world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you help people bridge that? When they're coming in, if you know family connection is the strongest thing to their rehabilitation, how do you get them to make that connection to people they might have trauma with?
Right. I think you have to do a good job of getting to know the individuals, knowing that pain, knowing that anger, and knowing if that's someone that they need to be interacting with and conversating with or doing a video visit with.
What are some of the things that you do when you have a resident that's there that's just like not really, you see the potential, but you're not seeing the results that you want?
Yeah, and I know I've used resources in this conversation quite a bit, but just use your resources, reaching out to those individuals that can impact them or make a difference. I know that I've reached out to you several times.
Yeah, yo, Dre, man, I got this resident to talk to. And I've taken that, what you did to me. I did it at the facility that I work at, where there was a guy in the unit one day and he was about to fly off the handle, and I called his mom and put him on the phone with his mother. I was like, yo, don't tell me you're going to kill somebody. Tell your mom.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference when you can honestly step out a little bit and make a call like that, because that's not your traditional thinking in a correctional facility. Go call your mom. Go call Andre. Go call uncle, whomever. That's not your traditional response. I think in the traditional sense in corrections, that situation could go bad.
So what's your best advice for somebody coming that they just got sentenced, they're about to pull up to the facility? Technically, if they're watching this, they're already at the facility. What's your advice for that person who's just starting out? What could they do to make their time better for them?
Limit any idle time. Do as much as you can in the short amount of time that you're in here. And again, use your resources and connect as much as you possibly can, because there's a lot of opportunity in our facility. Books, education, tablets, and staff that a lot of times I didn't know I was this type of person. I didn't really know until I locked down, and 3 months into my stay, I got a problem. I've got a problem, and now I know what the problem is. Now I've got 3-4 months or the rest of my life to work on it. At least I know what it is.
I'll say this for folks. If you're watching this video, unfortunately, you have a problem, because someplace you got off track. I'm saying there's no good reason to sit in the penitentiary and be like, I don't have a problem. So please get out of denial and get some help. I'm saying I waited 6 years personally, so I don't want to be like I'm like throwing rocks at nobody. Right. I waited 6 years before I decided to get help.
Right.
And then books. We're gonna do a shameless plug. My book on the table.
Yeah.
So how has my book impacted your facility?
So speaking of resources, and I know I can pick up the phone and call Andre and he'll answer and he'll speak to a resident, but a lot of quote unquote people who are challenging, I'll give them the Andre book. Say, hey, look, I think this is a good book, good opportunity for you to take a look at his life and where he was and where he is now. And it helps. It's beneficial. Anytime that they can see someone who's had similar issues and they recovered from it and how they recovered from it. And I know you speak a lot about pain. What is the pain that got you where you're at?
Okay.
So, residents love the book. I love the book.
If a successful reentry starts day one, and you could actually get me to do whatever you want me to do, what would you want me to do day one?
I would say tell your story. I mean, because usually when I do have you come in, that's what you do.
No, not me personally. I'm the guy coming to your facility, or the lady who's coming to your facility. And reentry really starts day one.
Oh,
so every day I waste is a day lost. So what would you, as a director, 27 years in this business, what would you recommend that I do day one? I need you to give some recommendations to folks, because you've seen
I think you just touched on it. You have a problem. Let's find it. Let's work on it together. What is your problem, and how can we continue to work on that?
So I'm a big advocate of therapy. So you think they should do therapy day one, counseling day one, or go play basketball like I did day one?
I should definitely get some counseling and some therapy day one. Absolutely.